Did you know that doing consistent exercise is single-handedly the best way to improve your insulin sensitivity? Luckily, there are also many natural ways to improve your insulin sensitivity, which we will discuss today. First off, let's talk a bit about what insulin is in the first place. Simply put, insulin is a very important hormone that controls your blood sugar levels. It is created in your pancreas and transports sugar from your blood and straight into your cells, where the sugar is then stored. But when your cells are immune to insulin, as you may have guessed already, your sugar can't be transported to your cells, resulting in, any guesses? Yup, high blood sugar. This is also why people with type 2 diabetes have very low pancreas cells that would otherwise produce insulin. Just to set things straight, when we say the word insulin sensitivity, it simply means how receptive your cells are to insulin. So the higher your insulin sensitivity, the lower your insulin resistance, which of course would prevent many diseases and diabetes. The most important thing you need to know of is that once there is a presence of insulin in your blood, it will carry out two major functions. Number one, as we already discussed, insulin will transfer the sugar from your body to your cell to be used as energy. For example, let's say you just ate a meal containing high carbs and sugar. The carbs will be used as energy for your cells, but how does the sugar find its way to the cells? Well, that's where insulin comes in. The cells in your body have what we call insulin receptors. So when insulin sticks to these insulin receptors, sugar is transported out of the blood and into the cells. And purpose number two of insulin is its ability to transport sugar out of your body and accumulate it in muscles, liver, and fat cells for future use. Even though your cells need to take in blood sugar to get energy, but they don't always have access to this sugar every time. This is why insulin is so good. It picks up any additional blood sugar that your cells don't need currently, and once again transports it to your liver, fat cells, and muscle cells. Now that this sugar is inside your blood, it gets a new fancy name, glucose, which turns into another form of sugar called glycogen. These words sound complicated, right? But let's assure you that the process that insulin needs to go through to keep us up and running is even more complex. But what brings about insulin resistance in the first place? There are 7 most common main reasons and causes. Number 1, polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS. This is a disease that acts on women's reproductive health and shoots up the levels of insulin in the body. Fortunately, this insulin resistance may only last for some time and go away afterwards. Number 2, obesity and being overweight. Simply put, when you have high amounts of fat pockets in your body, you have very poor insulin sensitivity. Number 3, using high doses of steroids for a long period. Frequently, using steroids for a long period can bring about high blood pressure and ultimately lead to insulin resistance. Number 4, chronic stress. When you take on continuous stress, it has the same effect as taking high doses of steroids, because your body triggers its stress steroids the same way as cortisol. Number 5, poor diet. Eating a high sugar diet and high carbohydrate diet can drastically shoot up your blood sugar levels, and this will eventually bring about insulin resistance over some time. Number 6, sedentary lifestyle. Living an inactive lifestyle along with a bad diet is perhaps the biggest reason behind most insulin resistance. And on an obvious note, the best way to correct this is by living an active life. And number 7, irreversible factors. These are usually linked to your DNA and include things like your family's history of insulin resistance or diabetes. All these 7 causes can lead to high insulin resistance. Unfortunately, it is difficult to know if you are experiencing insulin resistance, and it cannot be determined by how you feel. If you want to confirm whether or not you have insulin resistance, The only way to do so is through a blood test to examine your blood sugar levels. This is also why, without a proper blood test, you won't be able to pinpoint the symptoms of insulin resistance, such as high blood pressure, high fat, and low cholesterol levels. But there are still ways that you can know if you have insulin resistance or not, and that's to look for the expressive symptoms. So, look for symptoms like severe hunger and thirst, feeling the urge to eat even after a meal, a tingling sensation in your feet or hands, heightened or consistent urination, feeling tired almost all the time, getting consistent infections. It is very important that if you do find these symptoms in your body, that you get diagnosed by a doctor as soon as possible, because if left untreated, you might start seeing high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar, which can cause pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes, and too much fat around the waist. Insulin resistance may also cause you metabolic syndrome. All these conditions we've mentioned are very dangerous and can add to the chances of heart attacks, heart disease, and strokes. Before we show you the 7 proven ways to improve your insulin sensitivity, if you are finding today's video helpful, then do us this favor and smash that subscribe button. Also, leave a comment saying I subscribed so we can personally reply to each of your comments. Let's start with method number 1 to get rid of your insulin resistance for good. Regular exercise. Carrying out exercise every day is the best and most natural way to boost your insulin sensitivity. Like the good old saying goes, exercise is the natural vaccine. When you exercise, you help move additional sugar into the muscle. Also, based on the exercise you do, you can instantly increase your insulin sensitivity, which can last anywhere from 3 to 48 hours. For instance, the researchers discovered that cycling on a machine for 60 minutes at a minimal speed boosted insulin sensitivity for up to 48 hours. Resistance training is also important if you want to increase insulin sensitivity. Number 2, get quality sleep. Ever hear of Sleeping Beauty? You know how she got healed, yep, by getting a good quality sleep. Even though that's not exactly right, but this is the case when you want to improve your insulin resistance, because a lack of quality sleep can harm your health by increasing your chance of getting infections, like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Multiple studies show that a base quality sleep can decrease your insulin sensitivity. For example, in one study 9 volunteers were taken. The study found that when these people slept for 4 hours, their insulin sensitivity dropped. But these people had the best insulin sensitivity when they slept for 8 to 12 hours. Number 3, decrease your stress. Easier said than done. We understand. But stress triggers your body's fight or flight response, which releases unnecessary stress hormones like glucagon or cortisol, which make your body more resistant to insulin. This ultimately constrains nutrients from being used as energy. Number 4, use a high-protein and low-sugar diet. Protein can help by stabilizing the blood sugar levels in your body. Although the presence of insulin resistance doesn't mean that you are dealing with diabetes, but following a proper meal plan is the easiest way of dealing with insulin resistance. Number 5, add herbs and spices to your cooking. Herbs and spices were mainly used for medicinal purposes long before their addition to cooking ingredients. But that as it may, in the past few decades, scientists discovered and started examining their health-related aspects, which came out positive. The top herbs and spices we recommend you use: turmeric, fenugreek, garlic, and ginger. These have indicated their abilities to increase insulin sensitivity. Number 6, use green tea. Do you know why people love green tea so much? Because it's an all-rounder. It is recommended to people of any illness, even those who are battling type 2 diabetes or people who are at risk of being exposed to it. Many studies have also proven that green tea can boost insulin sensitivity. And finally, remedy number 7, lose weight. We recommend that you try to lose weight around the region of the abdomen, because this is the area that responds best to boosting insulin sensitivity. It can also reduce the chances of having heart disease. If you have been dealing with insulin resistance or used any other remedies that worked, then be sure to share your experience with us in the comments below. To see the next best health hack, click here.